All right, Anthony, how are you
So
doing?
we're on?
Yeah,
Hi,
we're on.
Michael. I'm Anthony with Sherlock Holmes Property Inspections. I appreciate you've already handled all the paperwork and payment. I woke up to that and like, wow, you got on it quick. So jumping right into the report. I mean, it's a beautiful home. I always say there's going to be character in these types of properties, a little bit older, so you're going to have some, some things that need to be addressed, but ultimately, all in all, very good shape. As far as the property inspection, it's a visual inspection. We're not tearing holes in the walls or anything like that, but everything that I can open, close, get in, get on, turn off kind of a thing, I've been able to look at. With the home being occupied or
full. It's not really occupied.
yeah. I don't move personal belongings, but I try to do my best to get in and wherever I need to. So, two quick things on the report. You're going to see a blue bar, which is just general information, pictures of everything. Then you're going to see an orange or a yellow bar, and that's going to be any deficiencies. Right now, we're just going to talk about what's wrong. And the only real other limitation, real quick before I get into the report, is sprinklers. I just don't touch them due to the fact of underground plumbing. I just can't certify them. And the same thing with like the exterior lighting. I noticed there's, they're probably on sensors and timers and all that good stuff. But jumping right in, we have some typical cracks in the exterior walkways, driveways, things of that nature. The back, just decking. You're going to see that. What I'm really looking for are safety issues. Do we have tripping hazards present, things like that? And I don't see any issues. It's more or less just general maintenance over time, expansion, contraction, settling, and you're going to get those. On the barbecue island, so the barbecue island has a few things going on. There's an outlet that's kind of hanging off the back wall. The igniter on the barbecue does not work. And then you'll see on the interior, I don't think they've used the barbecue in quite some time, so it just needs a good cleaning and maybe a once over, but there is natural gas present to the barbecue. And then the sink, it looks like they shut the water off to that because they probably weren't using it, so you'll see some photos of that. Just needs a good deep clean and maybe tidying up out there, because I noticed there's some on the countertop. You'll see in the report some of the tiles they've become detached, okay. And then the door is broken. We talked about some of the cracks out back. Oh, there's some really nice I'm not sure if they're staying, the little art, as far as the fire pits.
The fire pit, yeah. That's what I was
and
say.
I notice it's there. I don't manually light those, but it looks. I mean, it literally is just a valve, and you want to save your eyebrows and kind of let it
lean back.
So you can do that. So you'll see that. Some minor cracks in the exterior walls. With all the vegetation, it's really hard to see all of it, but I mean, it's beautiful. It just, over time, trees and roots start to touch walls and they can create issues. So just periodically take a peek and make sure you're not pushing up against that wall. There is a clean out over on the side yard. I know the sewer scope guys are here right now, and they found the cap is actually in the stone. There's like one of these over on I guess it would be the southwest corner. So if anything, you can always take that out, or they're getting around it right now.
And we're going to have to talk with them about that anyhow, because it's clogged going into the backyard,
yeah.
But I've yet to find out what's going on to the street. So we'll get that in a little bit.
Okay. So there are some stucco cracks in the exterior walls. You're going to see that anytime that there's moisture up against the house or vegetation, you're going to start to get that. You'll see that. And the same thing like over in the formal dining area, those windows, the lower bottom windows where they kind of wrap them with some stucco, it's creating some issues there, and you're starting to see some deterioration on the interior of the property. And the same thing, you'll see just a quick little snippet about weep screed, and that's the bottom of a stucco wall. We're supposed to have gaps, right? Well, back in the 50s, they didn't do that. They thought, hey, let's just pour the concrete right up to the side of it. Well, what happens is if moisture ever sits up against the house, you start to get sloughing. There's very few little spots, but you'll see it out front, and you'll see pictures of these as well, that just the sprinklers have been hitting the wall and it's just deteriorated the stucco. So you could always just adjust the sprinklers and then patch that. We're missing some screen doors on the
I'm going to stop you for a second. Yep. On the windows over in the dining room area where that stucco is wrapping over, clearly at some point that needs to be released, but is it looking okay for now? Like, it's not a critical need to do
those
something.
Windows, like pretty much all of these windows, they don't function. They're painted shut essentially.
Okay.
And I didn't, here's the...
You're not trying hard to open it.
Correct. I try a couple. If they're not easily, I don't want to break anything. So, right. And they pretty much all were doing that. But on the exterior, you can see they put those and they tried to seal them. It's just, over time, the sealant has failed, and now what's happening is you're starting to get, it looks like, it's dry as a bone today, but it looks like there's been some moisture intrusion at one point. And that would be something down the road. And, Mark, we were kind of talking about maybe your plans anyways. It would be just incredible. If you blew that area out anyways and just changed it. But right now, it doesn't look like there's active water leaks. And if there is, it's not too difficult. And it shouldn't create much damage anyways. You have stone floor, and, you may damage some of the baseboards. But over time, you can change that out.
Okay.
There's an outlet out here on the back post that looks like, it's just damaged. It's functional, but it looks like the actual plug, plug's $5. It's just somebody broke the internal mechanism of I'm just being picky. Anytime I see something that could be possibly overheated,
Yep.
it's just silly, but I want to note it for you.
Okay.
There's a hose bib on the southeast corner of the property, does not turn on for whatever reason. It's, over the years, maybe the pipe went bad, so they just, cut it off.
Okay.
So it's that is dead. As far as the garage is packed with personal belongings, so I don't move everything, but you have an epoxy floor, and it is short. I'm 6'2", and I about took my head off coming into the door, but it's not an issue. It's just you're not getting a truck in there, and we were talking, hey, a sedan will fit just right. So, but the door is functional. You have 2 access points to the interior of the house. So any of those doors are considered fire doors. So those doors need to self-close. One of the doors that leads to the formal dining room / bedroom over here makes contact with the door trim. So it's kind of stopping. And then the main garage door, access door, doesn't have a self-closer. So it should. I just have to tell you, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I just need to tell you, hey, there should be a self-closing hinge on those doors.
Right.
And then you'll see some of the trim on those the window sill has some damage as well, and there's some minor cracks in the floor. As far as the roof, this is a flat roof. You can technically walk these roofs, but with the technology nowadays, and you'll see I use a drone, and because I don't have to step on anything. The last thing I want to do is damage any of your components up on the roof, so you'll see a whole bunch of images. With these types of roofs, especially flat roofs, I don't see signs of staining or any issues on the interior, but you definitely want to periodically have somebody come out every few years and do general maintenance, because water sits on these roofs a lot more than they do if it's a pitched roof. So, and you'll see that there's some tree litter and some debris up there. So I would recommend once you get in here, have somebody come through, do a good once over on everything, and make sure all the roof penetrations are sealed properly, because it doesn't take much. And these roofers, that's what they specialize in. They'll know, hey, this could be an issue over here. Let's put some new cool coating or mastic or something along those lines to ensure that it's going to drain properly. You have skylights in the home. I do my absolute best to look at all the skylights, but skylights, depending upon the time of day, looking at them from different angles, I don't see any cracks from my end. Everything looks pretty solid, and you'll see images from the drone as well as from the underside. It's kind of difficult on the underside because some of these have some colored glass on the bottom, but they look pretty solid. But that's another item. Make sure periodically you have those inspected, because when they do crack and then you get heavy rain, you can create some issues. Main electrical system's been replaced over the years. I should say the panel at one point. We don't go any further than that. I can't, I don't open up your receptacles or anything like that, but you'll see that the home is equipped with solar. So that looks great. Same thing with solar. Every system is different. Hopefully one day everything will become uniform, that I can go out there and inspect them. Right now, a lot of them you don't have access to their apps that you can check what they're rated at. So I'm sure the seller is going to provide you, or if not, you can contact the company and maybe get some more information on what is it, how many kilowatts per hour is it supposed to produce, all of these items. And if it's not, get somebody out here to ensure that all the panels are functional. And it does have a Tesla Powerwall. So that's the same thing with the battery. I noticed in a couple, we're standing right here, the receptacle right to the right side. The kitchen, this is testing with what we call an open ground. So when they put the wires in, unfortunately, it became loose somewhere and we lost a ground on that outlet. Everything else is testing properly. So you'll see that. A lot of the stuff is very self-explanatory. You have a tankless water heater here. So if you're not familiar with those, obviously it takes a little bit more time to get you the water, but once it's there, it's endless. So you do need to do periodic maintenance once a year. They have a decalcification setting that you could run. You shut the valves off. There's YouTube videos on it and all that good stuff. Or just have a plumber come out and do it. Because I promise, if you don't do it, they will fail. And it should have a gas debris catch on there. There's some things on here on the report that will make a little more sense when you see it. 2 HVAC systems here. You have, and they're package units. They're big boxes on the roof. They heat and they cool. So you're going to see on the, I guess it would consider the east side, that's that whole bedroom. It kind of controls that area. It's a 36,000 BTU. So what is that, about a 3.5 ton unit? Works great, heating and cooling, no problems whatsoever. I would recommend changing your filter every 90 days and then servicing the system once a year. The main resident, it's a 5 ton unit, big unit, cools perfectly, but for whatever reason, the heater is not kicking on. It could be something we're doing or not, but I've tried it 3 or 4 different times, turning it on and off, running the air, then going back, and it's not kicking on. So it could be a thermocoupling issue. It could be something along the lines, but that definitely needs to be looked at. Also, directly above Mark's head, you have a evaporator or swamp cooler that we call them. The controller is right here in the main hall. It does not respond. It just shows off. So I would have, I mean, if you're ever going to use it, a lot of times people love them or you hate them. The problem with them is if you haven't had it serviced and we turn it on, it's just going to blow dust and nasty stuff throughout the house. So if that's the goal to utilize it, I would definitely have it serviced, find out what's going on with it. Because, you know, it just essentially runs water over a screen and it blows it in. So it really humidifies the interior and it will cool, but you already have 2 full HVAC systems. So there's really no need for that. Kitchen, you're going to see just general maintenance. You know, some stuff it talks about a high loop air gap on your dishwasher. It should just be a little bit different, very minimal.
So that's the line that's coming from the dishwasher to the drain should go up to the countertop.
Yeah,
level.
well, it doesn't have to go up. You see, it's almost flat. We need to have a reverse trap, and it doesn't cost any money to do it. It just needs to look like this. So it needs to create a high loop, and what that does is it just keeps the dirty water, if it backs up in your sink, out of your clean dishes in your dishwasher. So it's just being picky, to be honest with you. What I try to do, especially with you not here, I want to give you as much information so you can just kind of check those boxes, you know, in you know, a little fix-it list type stuff. Kitchen faucet was a little bit loose at the countertop, very minimal, or typical, I should say. The outlets in the kitchen, they tested with open ground as well. So they lost a ground somewhere coming in here. So that affects the ability to have GFCIs, the ground fault circuit interrupter. So an electrician should look at a couple of these circuits. Not a bad idea if you have one out here. It's like you did a great job having the plumber coming out as well. You know, it's beyond our scope, but if they're here, you know, have them look at some of these circuits. Oh yeah, all this stuff is very normal. You're going to see it. Oh, I was showing Mark, just being picky. I didn't mention it on the report, but the cabinets are perfectly level, like they should be, but the walls aren't always. So you're going to see a gap over in the corner on the right side of the kitchen. You can put some trim there, or hey, I call it character. It's kind of cool. It gives that little vibe of exactly, you know, just that mid-century modern type look. Laundry, no issues there. I don't run their equipment, but ultimately it's here. I don't see signs of moisture. I don't see damage. There was some, you know, I don't know what happened here. Oh, just some little drywall damage around where the pipes are running into the wall. You can just seal that up, clean it up a little bit. I'm not sure if you're going to do paint, but there's a lot of that little ticky-tacky type stuff. You know, maybe resealing some of the, you know, just throughout. Obviously you'll see that. As far as bathrooms, if it's going to fail, I want to make it fail today. I don't want to break it, but ultimately we're really stressing the system. You know, we're running tub, shower, sinks, toilets all at the same time. And you'll see we made some mention of just basic caulking that needs to be redone. You know, in the primary, the bathroom, you know, it's a little bit slow draining in the jacuzzi tub. Shower pans, same kind of thing, and I think we figured out why. You know, maybe there's some root intrusion that, you know, we can, I guess they'll talk about it more.
Right.
Other bathroom, same thing, a little bit of corrosion here and there, active water leak below that sink. So this, fortunately you have tile, so when you run it, we get a little, it's just the P-trap it looks like. So that's usually an easy fix, and it's on the tile right now. Fortunately, it's not inside of a cabinet creating damage. And that drain is a little slow draining. Shower head was loose. All of these things, you know, your typical stuff. Fireplace. It's a manufactured fireplace. I don't like these because you have to literally, you know, it's not a flip a switch type thing. With this, the only thing I would recommend is if you really plan on using it quite often, you can get what is called a stage 3 chimney inspection. They'll come out, they'll run a camera up the flue, make sure everything is functional. And then another thing that I would recommend doing is putting in a damper clamp. It's on every stinking house. I used to carry bags of these things around, and I've used them all, unfortunately. And what it does is it keeps the flue open so you don't run the risk of having carbon monoxide issues. You know, just in case somebody, you know, forgot to turn it off and they, you know, it's just pumping into the house. But it's a $10 part. You're going to have photos of every room on the property. You're going to see this. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast here.
You don't have to go fast.
No, I'm just thinking who's remember, you always put it on YouTube, so it's real nice. But, as far as the windows, we've talked a lot about a lot of these windows. Over the years, they've changed some, they've kind of altered some, they've, you know, they need to be serviced. You know, you know, it's just, especially out here, we get the highs and the lows, extremes of both. So you get that expansion, contraction, and then the seals start to go bad. So I would just, over time, maybe that's something to look at in the future to slowly start to replace. plaster / drywall cracks throughout. You're going to see them. Here's a perfect example, stuff like this. It's usually always going to be at the weak points. So you have a post here, a little bit of movement here and there, you're going to start to get this. If you do any paint, they're going to come in, a good painter will address all of those items so you don't see them. But, they may come back over time. It's very, very typical. We talked about the possible moisture intrusion around some of those windows there. Other cracks, there's a couple light bulbs in the hallway they're not functioning properly. And then you have a true stone floor. So just it's uneven, in places. So just be cautious, especially with bare feet. You could stub your toe, and you could always have somebody grind it, but that's the whole vibe here. I get it. But I just want to let you know. This is an item that, just so it doesn't freak anybody out. This is in, I guess that would be the office.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a receptacle that it's all black, right? I thought, I'm thinking they had something plugged in there that created soot, or I don't know what it was, but I've tested all 4 of those outlets. They all test properly. I used my thermal imaging camera on there and my gun. Temperatures are fine. There's no issues. But something happened here. I don't know what it was, if they plugged something in it and went weird, but I just want to let you know, I saw it, I tested it as well as I could, and there's no issue. You could always just have that receptacle replaced just for peace of mind.
It might have also been whatever they plugged in, like might have
No,
a
that's what I'm
transformer
thinking.
there.
And I'm thinking they had something and it just created, because sometimes those heavy duty transformers creates that heat. Because there's no plastic, the plastic is not deteriorated or damaged. So I just know you're gonna see it and then go, what the heck is this? You didn't tell me about it. And I feel pretty confident that it was, like Mark was saying, it was probably some type of a transformer that created that. So as far as the pool, not sure if you're gonna have any little ones running around or not, but as far as the pool, any direct access points, we should have door alarms from the interior that say, hey, the door's open, and all the gates on the exterior need to self-close and latch. So they need some adjustment. You'll see some pictures of that. I did note that there's underneath the little, there's a little, I guess, table out back, and the plumber actually pointed it out to me as well. We were looking, pulled one of the covers off, and there's a pipe inside. You can see here's the cover.
Okay, right next to that.
You open that up and there's an active leak and it's just corroded. Fortunately, it's not pouring out, but eventually that's going to snap or pop, and create an issue. Fortunately, there's access.
Do you even know what that is?
I don't.
Okay.
And either did he, and we're both looking like, what is it? Is it part of the pool? Because it's about 4 feet off of the pool deck and it's running parallel to the pool. So it doesn't, I'm not sure if it runs all the way around or it is one of the lines that feed it. But either way, I would get that addressed so you don't wake up one day and all of a sudden water's bubbling out. Pool light's not working. It's not activating. I'm not sure if it's burned out, but there's not a GFI. That's another thing on the pool equipment. We should have a circuit that has a GFCI for safety purposes. So you'll see this big long narrative. Just needs an outlet, that'll self-trip in the case of an emergency, in case of a fault, I should say, if something fails.
So you're replacing the one that is there?
Well, there's not one there at all. There's not even an outlet out there.
Oh,
so, and technically, they're supposed to, it doesn't always have to be an outlet. It just needs, because they make GFIs that do not have a receptacle. It's only a GFI. It's just the button.
Right.
And I would just talk to a pool guy and say, hey, and they may come back and go, you know what? Hey, it's on its own circuit over here. I'm fine with that. I just always want to err on the side of caution.
Got it.
And then I noticed the pool. I don't think it's been clean, brushed in a while. I'm not sure if those little specks on the whole bottom are...
Right, it might be an imperfection now in the surface, or it may be just too...
because it's all over, and it's a little too cold. If it was hot, I would have loved to jump in and touch it, and there's no brush to actually disturb the surface. So I made more or less, I don't know if it's actually... The more I look at it, it looks like there's stains, but I'm not too sure. So that is it. Everything else in this home, I would consider cosmetic. So as long as we're on the same page, it's 1950s, you're gonna have some character. Things are, but the bones of the home, I feel, are solid. There's not anything here that's scary. My big recommendation would be find out what's going on with the heater, obviously,
right.
for on the main unit. And then some, maybe some of the electrical items, just because, electricity scares me because I can't see it and it can bite you, but it's easily, remedied. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, concerns. My information's all over the report. And you'll get to see this video. You'll probably have I don't know, Mark's really good about the technology side of it. So you'll probably have this before the report, but about the same time. But yeah, thanks again. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
The last clean out that's right at the door that is encased in the grout, that is technically your end of the run clean out. That goes straight towards the street.
Okay.
And then, so you have that one that's encased in the grout. Then there's another one. That one's a two-way. It can go towards the street and towards the back
That's
side
the
of
one where you
house.
did the first 25 towards
Yes.
the back. Okay.
And there's roots there.
Okay.
But nothing from the house ties into that line. So I don't know what the roots were caused by or even that dirt. Because even the floor drains, they're just French drains. So it just goes right into the dirt, not into your main sewer. So I don't know how the dirt got in there, and I don't know how the roots got in there. Because even the shower, your outside shower,
Yeah.
doesn't run into it either.
Okay, but so that line, and I'll take a picture of this for you, Michael, later. He's watching this on the other side at
Yeah.
some point. So from that point going back into the yard is where you find these roots.
Yeah,
But we have no idea really what is supposed to be coming down this line in the first
because
place.
nothing ties into it. Not the kitchen, not the bathrooms, not even that little barbecue sink area. That
Okay.
doesn't tie into it either.
And if you go the other way, does it go out to the street?
So if you go the other way, yes, it ties into where that other clean out is. That's in the front.
Yeah.
Runs all the way down to the street. We start flushing the toilets, and that flows into that line. But this is the other weird thing. At 19 feet, it looks like someone cut into the clay line. There's
Yeah.
notches. Looks like they used a grinder,
Okay.
but no roots are growing into it. It just looks like a section of the pipe has been removed.
So 19 feet off of the house
Coming towards the street.
in the front yard somewhere?
It's just a piece of it, a little square shaped, is just removed out of the pipe. It's just gone.
And there's no dirt or anything falling
Nothing.
in. It's just gone. It's
I don't know what happened
But it's
there.
working fine.
Yes.
Okay.
No
So
roots growing through.
does that mean that the house itself, like everything from the house, is fine going out to the street?
That's the hard part.
Okay.
There's nothing, those cleanouts, we can't even see what's going on underneath the house. We can only see what's going on the side of the house,
Okay.
going straight towards the street.
Okay.
So if the problem ever occurs underneath the house, you have to pull a toilet or a snake from the vents, no matter what.
Okay.
So that's a downfall right there.
Okay. So there's just no clean out. So if it backed up, like if you were taking a shower in the primary bedroom, everything starts backing up for some
And
reason,
then you came out and looked at the cleanouts and you saw no water, that
You-
means it's underneath the house.
which means you'd have to pull that toilet from that room and clean from there. Not the end of the world.
Exactly.
It's just more invasive.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's nothing where you could just go outside and snake from
Yeah,
there.
it's always nicer to have an outside thing. But
Exactly.
but if something like that happened, you would just pop the toilet.
Yep.
Okay, and then
You
go.
just have to pull it every single time.
But in general, the line, once you finally got to it from the outside to the street, is fine.
Yep.
It's just knowing what's underneath the house.
That's the hard part. We don't know.
Right. And it's unlikely, I mean, it's possible, but it's unlikely there's going to be a whole lot of roots under the house, I would imagine.
It is unlikely, but who
I mean, you
knows?
don't know. Yeah, obviously you
Exactly.
don't know. But it's a. Okay. So,
But it's about 90 feet from those cleanouts to get to the city sewer. I didn't see any roots, nothing. Everything's cleaned.
okay. So the only place there were roots were going backwards into the backyard, and
Which
we
has
really have
no-
no idea
Yeah.
what is even feeding
Exactly.
that. Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Okay. So it sounds like the house, aside from not knowing what's underneath,
It's good.
it's good. Okay.
Close.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, that's perfect.
that's a good thing.